They tried to silence him. They blacklisted him. They dragged his name through headlines, courtrooms, and controversy. But no matter what they threw at him, one thing stayed true. NBA YoungBoy refuses to fall. From Baton Rouge streets to Billboard charts, from house arrest to YouTube supremacy, YoungBoy turned pain into power and hate into history. He didn't just survive the chaos, he weaponized it. This is the story of the man the industry couldn't control. This is how NBA YoungBoy built an unbreakable empire.
Take me to a place I can't imagine.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a city with soul, sound, and struggle. It's the birthplace of a legend who would go from recording in tiny rooms to rewriting the rules of fame itself. Cantrell Deshaun Gaulden, or as the world would come to know him, NBA YoungBoy. His childhood wasn't easy. His environment was loud, raw, and dangerous, the kind that either breaks you or builds you. And for YoungBoy, it did both. By age 15, while most kids were learning to drive, he was learning how to feed his family through music. His early mixtapes like Life Before Fame and Mind of a Menace were raw confessions of a kid growing up too fast. No polish, no industry filters, just honesty. When 38 Baby dropped in 2016, it wasn't just a mixtape, it was a statement. The world was introduced to a young voice that didn't sound like anyone else. Aggressive but emotional, cold but confessional. Every verse felt like therapy. A teenager telling the world what it's like to live with one foot in the streets and the other chasing stardom. And people felt it. By 2017, ARE YoungBoy hit the internet and turned a street rapper into a national name, without a label, without press, without industry love. From that moment, the world realized this kid wasn't here to play the game. He was here to change it.
Most young artists dream of getting signed. YoungBoy dreamed of never needing to. He founded Never Broke Again, a label that became both a business and a personal manifesto. It wasn't about wealth. It was about independence. It was a warning shot to the industry. You will never own me. He brought his closest friends, local rappers, and producers under the same umbrella. Together, they built a brand rooted in loyalty, consistency, and hustle. Everything was DIY: videos, recording, marketing. While the industry mocked his strategy, YoungBoy built a distribution network straight from his phone. He dropped music faster than most labels could schedule it. The result? A cult fan base that made every release an event, every video an explosion. When most artists release once or twice a year, YoungBoy drops albums, singles, and freestyles like clockwork. He never stopped feeding his audience, and that constant motion became his secret weapon. By the time labels realized his power, it was too late. He didn't need them anymore. The Never Broke Again empire was already printing success.
But success didn't come without shadows. If YoungBoy's music was therapy, his life outside the studio was a war zone. Legal issues followed him everywhere. Gun charges, probation violations, police raids, the headlines never stopped. Each time he got locked up, critics wrote him off. Each time, fans only got louder. In 2020, when he was placed on house arrest, many thought his career would finally slow down. Instead, it exploded. He built a full studio in his Utah home and released back-to-back albums. His numbers skyrocketed, even though he couldn't leave the house. That era became legendary. No tours, no interviews, no public appearances. Just one man and his mic, channeling everything into sound. He made the impossible look routine, recording hits while under watch, turning confinement into creativity. To the media, he was a problem. To fans, he became proof that no system could contain art. And through it all, he never asked for sympathy. He just kept working. Silent, focused, relentless.
Here's a fact that industry insiders hate to admit. NBA YoungBoy changed how music is consumed. He mastered YouTube like nobody before him. His channel racked up billions of views, surpassing pop icons and mainstream stars. Why? Because YoungBoy understood one thing the industry forgot: consistency beats polish. He didn't need big-budget videos or promo rollouts. He gave fans raw, real energy. The same day it was recorded. A camera, a beat, and a confession, that was it. His fans didn't need marketing, they needed him. By 2022, YoungBoy was streaming over 5 billion plays annually across platforms. He wasn't just competing with the industry, he was dominating it from outside the system. Spotify playlists might ignore him, award shows might skip his name, but his numbers told the truth. He was one of the biggest artists in the world. While others relied on radio and PR, he relied on community. That direct connection from artist to fan became his greatest weapon.
Inside boardrooms, there's a phrase nobody says out loud. NBA YoungBoy scares the system. Not because of violence or controversy, but because he proved the system wasn't necessary. There were rumors of bans, of blacklists, of his music not getting equal visibility. Some industry insiders whispered about quiet censorship, platforms limiting his promotion despite massive fan engagement. But every restriction only made him stronger. Every time they tried to box him in, he built a new lane. He started releasing more projects, experimenting with sounds, even dropping entire albums for free. He made loyalty his currency and fans his shareholders. The system's biggest mistake? Underestimating the power of independence in the streaming age. They thought control meant access. He proved control comes from connection, and that's something no corporation can buy.
If YoungBoy is the general, his fan base is the army. They call themselves Why Be Better, a meme that turned into a movement. You'll find it under every rap post, every viral tweet, every comment section. Why Be Better? It's not just trolling, it's marketing. And it's genius. This fan base made YoungBoy trend weekly without label assistance. They've defended him against media hate, hyped every release, and even organized streaming campaigns. They turned what should have been negative energy into momentum. Their loyalty runs deep, to the point where his albums debut at #1 even when critics ignore them. Fans drive the numbers. Fans create the story. And that fan-driven dominance made him bulletproof. While the world debated his reputation, his fans built his legacy. They didn't need industry validation because they became his validation.
Imagine this. You're one of the biggest rappers alive, you're under house arrest, you can't perform, can't travel, can't live freely. Most would break under that pressure. YoungBoy turned it into purpose. Inside his Utah home, he built a full creative compound, studio, editing setup, content space. Every day became workday. Every emotion became music. His releases from that period, Sincerely Control, Colors, The Last Sly Meadow, all dropped under restriction, yet they topped charts. He even started showing evolution in his lyrics, from anger to reflection. Lines about fatherhood, regret, healing, and pain began replacing the old bravado. You could hear growth in his voice. You could feel maturity behind the chaos. House arrest didn't just cage him, it clarified him. He started sounding like a man who had seen both sides of power, the fame and the fallout. And that's when his artistry became something deeper. What makes YoungBoy's empire so unshakable isn't just success, it's structure. He owns his masters, he controls his releases, he decides what drops and when. His label, Never Broke Again, runs like an independent fortress, with his friends, producers, and family managing core operations. No outsiders, no corporate gatekeepers. That's why his career feels raw, unpredictable, and real. He answers to no one, not even the press. Every move he makes is intentional, even when it looks chaotic. The secrecy, the silence, the sudden drops, they all feed the legend. His empire isn't built on fame, it's built on loyalty. He doesn't need to be the industry's favorite when he's already the people's champion. And that's why, even when the headlines are negative, the numbers never lie. NBA YoungBoy runs his own world. But here's the truth. Being unbreakable doesn't mean being untouched. The fame, the isolation, the pressure, it all leaves scars. There are moments where you can hear the exhaustion in his voice, songs about betrayal, loss, and regret. He's been open about wanting peace, even hinting at walking away from music. But music is his therapy, his only constant. It's the one place where chaos makes sense. The question now isn't whether YoungBoy can survive. He's already proved that. The question is whether he can find peace while staying at the top. He's mastered fame. He's mastered success. But peace? That's the final frontier. Most artists build their legacy after they're gone. YoungBoy is building his in real time, in front of the world with all the mess, mistakes, and miracles. He's one of the few who never had to chase validation. He created his own metrics, his own fan base, his own blueprint. In a world of image and illusion, he built his legacy on truth, even when it was ugly. And that's why it lasts. When future generations talk about modern rap, they won't just talk about YoungBoy's hits. They'll talk about how he changed the game for every independent artist who refused to sell their soul. Because in an industry built on control, YoungBoy became proof that rebellion can still win. They banned him, they hated him, they doubted him. But NBA YoungBoy turned every setback into a stepping stone, every headline into history, every wound into a weapon. He built an empire that doesn't rely on the system, it thrives outside of it. He's not just a rapper, he's a revolution that happens to rhyme. And whether you love him or hate him, one thing's clear. NBA YoungBoy isn't just unbreakable, he's unstoppable.
Time,